I'm not saying what I did was right, and I'm not saying what I did was wrong, but I feel like I wasn't wrong to a certain extent.
She claims her Chipotle order from Uber Eats was missing chicken and condiments. She says she walked to the store and asked for a refund. Employees explained refunds are issued by Uber. She then asked them to remake her bowl instead, and they refused, claiming her ticket did not say double meat. She claims they took her original order and refused to give it back. That's when she went behind the counter to make her own burrito bowls. She claims she was assaulted first by the male employees.
I was mad, upset, but to me, I'm a man. I can't hit a female. So I walked away.
I understand you cannot go behind the counter, but once my food was taken, it was like you're taking my property. I do apologize. I feel very bad that it had to end that way and that he got assaulted. But again, it was only men that came and assaulted me.
The woman tells me she did not get a refund from Uber Eats, but she did walk away with one of those Chipotle bowls that she made. It's unclear at this time if she will be facing any charges.
Put your hands on my son.
Caught him in the bed with my daughter.
They don't give you a right to put your hands on my son.
He know the rules. He know the rules.
Okay, and I tell him the rules, but
they in the
when
living
it comes
room.
to my children, you do not put your hands on my child.
They don't go in the bedroom.
Understood.
They stay in the living room.
Understood. He put his hands on you, correct? Do not touch my child anymore. And I wouldn't touch your child. Don't
I didn't hit him. I didn't hit him. I roughed him up. I threw him out. He knew the rules.
It doesn't matter. You could have spoke to him. You didn't have to touch him. You didn't have to use physical force.
So did you even know who he was? Where he was?
All right, people, check this out. In American society, we have these things called social contracts. Now, in any first world society, you're going to have social contracts, and those social contracts just exist to ensure that the rules aren't broken and that good order and discipline remains intact. From man to man, woman to woman, person to person. If you go to Texas, they have these things called stand your ground laws. Now, those laws essentially just say, if someone attacks you, you're allowed to fight back. They have things like castle doctrine, which means a man's home is his castle. He's allowed to defend it, even against the police. Their laws on self-defense in places like Texas even extend to your neighbor. If someone breaks into your neighbor's house, you are allowed to help them out. You're allowed to defend their property, even if they're not home. You have certain self-defense laws in certain states that say, they're like Good Samaritan laws. You're allowed to intervene and even do violence in someone's direction if they are breaking the law, like if they're doing violence. So these things are all born from social contracts. In today's day and age, we have allowed women to do away with all of our social conventions. We've given them voice, we've given them choice, we've given them all kinds of freedom, and now they don't have to be answerable. They don't have to be accountable to anyone except themselves, and they have removed all the social contracts that most people would be bound to. Most notably, violence. Women obviously don't want violence to come their way. So, they go above and beyond to say everything is dangerous and everything is a form of violence, and they don't want it. When it comes to that, you will even see that women try to extend this privilege to their children. In the video you just saw, you see this woman confronting a man about putting his hands on her son. And the man goes on to explain, your son is dating my daughter, and he knows the rules pertaining to my daughter. If they're at my house, you can't go back to the room. You can't go back to her room. Y'all got to stay out in the living room. I've told him this before. He violated the rule. I put my hands on him. Now, in almost any society, this is common knowledge. You can't just be laying up with somebody's daughter like you a grown man, like y'all married. In almost any society, this would either be a death sentence or they would, have a shotgun wedding. I don't know if, how far they made it. Like, I don't know what they were doing, but we can assume what they were doing if they went back to, the girl's room and closed the door. The man specifically said, I told him y'all got to stay in the living room where I can see you. There shouldn't be any real, conversation needed here. But what this woman wants to do is she wants to get mad because the man taught her son a lesson. Now, if you look at the guy, if you look at the boy in the picture, he's kind of standing off to the right. You can't really see him. He's wearing a white hoodie, and you can kind of see his hair. Now, you look at this kid, and he looks like a big kid. Like this kid looks like he's over 6 foot. So this is a big old kid. And his mother is trying to extend her plot armor to him. We all know you can't just go around hitting women. So since women can't be physically assaulted in society when they break rules, she wants it to be the same for her son. Even when her son is violating rules in the direction of another man's daughter in that man's house. This is one of the major problems we have with accountability in America. You have women who have, built-in plot armor. They go out there, they have a kid, and they think the kid is supposed to be able to benefit from that same plot armor, even when it's a male. And especially in the Black community, you see a whole lot of violence, and you see a whole lot of young Black men who don't know how to conduct themselves properly in society because this is what they grow up with. They grow up with a mother that tells them the rules don't apply to you. All they hear is their mother saying, you can't tell me nothing. You can't do that to me. You can't put your hands on me. They see how their mother handles certain situations and they think they can handle that situation the same way. They think that they can do whatever they want and somebody has to come at them with words and not violence. Let me be the first one to tell you, if you put your hands on somebody's daughter, they're going to put their hands on you. If you violate somebody's daughter, they're going to violate you. Even if you're in a consensual relationship with that person's daughter, if that man tells you, you can't go back to my daughter's bedroom and do nothing, with her, y'all got to stay out in the living room, you have to obey that. I'm old enough to remember a time when you would get messed up doing that. You might get deleted and the cops weren't going to do a whole lot about it. It's like, hey, bro, you was doing something you shouldn't have done. It's like everybody knows that you can't do this. You got to step easy when you're dealing with the man's daughter. But this woman, she's had privilege her whole life. Violence is off the table for women in America. They don't experience violence like that. When they do stupid stuff to hold society hostage, when they have a meltdown in an airport, when they, freak out in a store or whatever, when they have their Karen moment in public, you can't resolve that with violence. You can't go over there and put hands on them. Otherwise, you'll go to jail. Look at the man's body language in the video. He's kind of hiding behind the door. It's not like he's stepping out and really getting in her face. And it's not because he's afraid of the boy. He obviously put hands on the boy and the boy went and got his mommy. This ain't no man. This ain't no big, tough, strong man. He probably think he is, but when he got hands put on him by a grown man, he went and cried to his mommy, not his dad, obviously, because he don't have no dad. If he had a dad, his dad would be either on the porch confronting the man himself, or the dad would have said, hey, bro, you deserve to get hands put on you because you violated the rules as it pertains to that man's daughter. Don't do that. We got social contracts. We're not animals. So you see the man's body language. He's not really coming outside because he understands it can turn into a conflict. That young man wasn't trying to fight, so he went and got his mom, and they come back with all the cameras and whoever else is with him, and he probably understands that he can get arrested for this. This man he understands that this woman is allowed to come over, cause a scene, act stupid, and get police involved, and he'll be the one going to jail, even though his daughter, I don't want to say purity or anything like that, but I don't want to say that she was being violated, but this young man was violating the daughter's, the rules he set for his daughter in his house, right? And obviously the daughter was in on it. She said, hey, let's go back to the room. Or, maybe he convinced her, but either way, she knew the rules too. So, you got this situation where you have at least one woman thinking that it's okay for her son to violate these rules. If he violates the rules, you have to come at him with words, not hands, right? It doesn't work that way. And then you obviously have the daughter knowing if she breaks the rules, she ain't going to be the one to catch a beat down. The boy is. So you have at least two women who think the rules don't apply to them and they don't care about the consequence that comes to another person. Like I said, the mom, she don't care. Like one day her son is going to cross a line with somebody and he's going to end up either in jail or in the morgue. Because that's what always happens with these people who are raised by women who think that there is no accountability for them and that they can extend that to their children, most notably their sons. So if you guys have daughters, make sure they're not dating guys, especially if they're young. Like you got a Gen Z daughter, something like that, Gen Alpha. I don't know how old the oldest Gen Alphas are, but if you have a daughter who's dating, make sure she is not dating a guy who comes from a single parent home, because you're going to end up dealing with this. You're going to end up dealing with a guy who doesn't understand social contracts, social norms, or he doesn't accept the fact that there are consequences for his action. If you have to chastise that person, then you're going to have to deal with his mom. And like I said, women are allowed to hold society hostage. They're allowed to make you the bad guy, even when their child is the one messing up, even when they're the one in the wrong. It's a bad situation that we have as a country, that social contracts are dead. It's a bad situation as a country where it's not inherently known that you can't just violate some man's daughter in his home. Keep in mind, if a man got too handsy with that woman, she would want some man to come deal with whoever it was who did that. It's the same thing with this guy's dad. She's essentially telling this man, you're not allowed to protect your daughter from my son because reasons, right? It's ridiculous. And there's no fixing this problem unless we take people's rights away. So it is what it is. I'm not going to beat this into the dirt. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with the woman? Do you agree with the man? Do you think that the man should have, used more tact? Or do you think he should have, gave that guy a backhand like he did? Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll get at you on the next one. Peace.